main thing that I'll try to tell people is learn business as much as you can and
Mm-hmm.
just understand how business works. It doesn't mean that you have to know everything about consulting. You just need to know everything about how to run a business
Mm-hmm.
on a day-to-day basis. Like your, for example, like your tax structure changes just from a standpoint of March 15th is the business tax date, where April 15th is the personal tax date. So even if you get the business tax together, you now got to turn around and get your personal tax together. Well, the thing is, once you get your business things in order, you that is going to directly affect your personal. But let's say you start picking up your work in, let's say, February, March, it's hard to work on those things and do the business stuff. So you have to like now have a plan for how you're going to go about doing everything. So it really does become a matter of you go from having all the time in the world when you're first getting started to never having any time for anything.
Mm-hmm.
And that life is a different life than the beginning. It's a like I have time for these things, but because they're related to the business.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, you just don't have time. I'm leaving here later on today. I'm driving. Fortunately, I have I'm working with the school in Virginia, so I'm just driving down to the training for the next 2 days. So I'm able to do things like this,
Mm-hmm.
here. But that's the thing, like you really are like on normal days, on normal Sundays, I'm literally having to drive to the airport and get on a plane and and that's what I spend my whole day doing. So I think that's really the biggest difference in that way.
And that must have challenges with a young family.
It's become the funny thing is it's it's been our norm.
Mm-hmm.
Now he's been incorporated into that norm at this point. Now the other part about that is the hardest part of it more than anything else is now me. Now me looking at him when he starts crying and saying that like when he realized I'm leaving, that's probably the harder part at that point
Yeah.
where like it makes me go, oh, I really
Well,
don't want
and
to go.
as he gets older, school events or should sports or music or whatever
Correct.
his passions are, having to say, I can't go, I'm booked in Denver.
Right.
That'll
Exactly.
be really challenging to
So
figure
yeah,
out how to navigate.
and so I have more control over some of those things if I know they're coming up. I've actually been able to go to his events, but it's funny that most of his events. But it's funny you asked about that you mentioned that. So they had he goes to a actual preschool right now. So this was last week. I was in San Jose at a workshop, and they were doing a program at the school, and so they were doing it on Zoom by all things. And
Oh,
so it was at 10 o'clock in the morning Eastern time. So it's 7 o'clock in the morning in California. So I'm now having to like, I'm getting out my car, getting on Zoom on my phone and everything. I'm having to set up for the workshop. I'm having to
hmm,
like set my projector up, talk to the people there. But I was able to capture him when he got up there and said his line because that was the whole big thing. Like he just kind of and he's in the 1 year old class. He was the only 1 year old that was picked to be because he was the one when they tested everybody out. He was the only one that actually said the line they wanted him to say. So they were like, oh, we got the guy. And
right.
so I had a chance to get in there and watch him. And just so I had that opportunity for that moment. So technology has
Mhm.
helped when it comes to that,
Yeah.
but like there was a moment and when I'm watching it where I'm literally like I don't even realize what's happening right now. Like my whole world is engrossed on what's happening right now
Hmm.
in these 50 seconds at this moment. I'm not really focused on what's happening here, and it kind of like to your point, it does your focus does change quite a bit at
Right.
that point. I think he understands. I think he likes watching. Like one thing he does, he likes watching my videos and
Hmm.
when I do my presentations. And this is what Daddy does, and all those different things. My wife, even on his first flight that he ever took, it was so my birthday is in September, and so one thing she's made it a point to do is I always do my uh, the Denver workshop around my birthday. That's always been like the thing. So she brought him out to Denver when he was 6 months for his first flight, and he was in the training at that point. Because I think your people came to the Southbury training, the ones that came back to the campus. When I
Yes.
came back in,
Yep.
the Southbury, Connecticut training, and I
Yep.
remember I came in that day, and this was the day he was about to be potentially born at any point. I
Yes.
said, "Hey." my wife, she's whatever, like she's at any point in time she could have a baby, so I may have to, you
Oh,
know,
yeah, I got the
yes,
text. Did you know? Like I was
I
like,
may have
that is so cool, you
yeah, I may
guys.
have to get
How
out of
exciting!
here.
Like literally any moment. He's like telling us all about
Yeah.
it.
Well, here's the funniest thing. So let me actually tell you what actually happened.
Okay.
So my wife she had a high risk pregnancy, right? So she ended up developing preeclampsia,
Oh,
and
same. I
so
can identify with that.
yeah, so she ended up having preeclampsia, and so
Yep.
there was always so we were seeing a high risk doctor. So the high risk doctor was like, we may have to at some point induce you to make sure
Yep.
for all these, to make sure you're good and everything. So I get back from Southbury because I was waiting for the text to say like, and so I'm like booking it to the Hartford airport and everything, and I get home, everything's fine. So I want to say that was Wednesday I was it was a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday we're back home. Nothing has been said or anything like that. So on the Thursday, what ends up happening of that week, we end up like we had a meeting scheduled to go tour the hospital. So we go to do the hospital tour and everything, and then she has an appointment for the high risk doctor immediately after that. So we set it up. The appointment for the high risk doctor already set us. We are scheduled to do the tour because we know we may have to go at some point. So when we go do the tour, they actually, based on something, they had to give us the reverse tour. So we go to the end and we go work our way to the beginning. Then we go to the doctor. We get to the doctor. Doctor has her set up and everything. The doctor comes in the room and says, "You're having contractions right now. You're having a baby." And so we're like, okay, we weren't ready for this. And she's like, "I don't feel it right now." She's like, "You're having contractions. You're having a baby. So you need to go home, get your stuff." Here's the one thing I learned. What they show on TV, like on the movies, it is nowhere near the
Not
same
even
thing. Like
close.
it is completely different as to
You should have
when
like taken the real life. You should have taken that communication degree, done the real life. This is actually what it looks
yeah,
like.
that was what I'm like. Oh, okay, wait, she's having contractions. This isn't what contractions
Nope.
I thought. Look, so then we go home, grab some stuff for her, pack some stuff up, go back to the hospital, and hey, we're back. And so she's having contractions. They check her in, and so she has a pretty rough night. Her blood pressure's been like through the roof that particular
Yeah.
night, and they've had a dedicated nurse to her, monitoring her and everything for that. She actually, one thing I'll give her so much credit for is her mindset was she's not a very sentimental kind of person to where
Mhm.
you have to be here all night and all those times. And then she's like, "Look, there's nothing you can do here except not sleep."
I was the same way. I'm like, both, not both of
She's
us
like,
should be
"Go
tired.
home, get a good
Like,
night's sleep, and then come back." So I went home,
yeah,
slept comfortably and everything. Get back to the hospital. I walk into the hospital room, and the doctor's there, and they're trying to go through all these different things as to okay, what should you like? What do y'all want? Like, you're having these like we can do this to try to induce
right.
things further, and we can try to do this and try to do that. And so we're sitting there. I'm sitting there going like, so you're not saying anything about a C-section? That's not an option at this particular point. And so then she does mention that. So I didn't want to suggest it because I'm not the one being cut. So I'm not about to like recommend that anything like
You're a
that.
smart
So
man.
so
Yeah.
my wife, she's like, I mean, I want to do the C-section. I'm thinking like, yeah, me too, because it's March 31st. He is not going to be born tomorrow. Like we are not going to let him be born on April 1st. That is just not going to happen. So something needs to be done. Like I look and say like I know my life, I know my childhood, I know some of the things that I did. I'm not setting my kid up to fail like that. So at that point, we were both in agreement. The moment the doctor walked, I'm gonna let y'all think about it. She said, "You want to do the?" She said, "I'm thinking about the C-section." She said, "What do you think about the C-section?" I said, "Hey, if you want to do it, hey, let's do it." I literally go out in the hallway and tell the doctor we're gonna do the C-section. The doctor was like, "What?" Like, yeah, we're gonna go ahead. We've already made the decision. So he ended up doing it that particular day. We ended up doing it that day around 3:20 something, and we ended up, that was when he actually came out. But